Hey there, welcome to Contracts and Chaos. My name's Alyssa.
And I'm Brenna, and we're here to tell you that you are not alone in the mayhem of this real estate industry.
We're keeping it real and sharing our stories, strategies, and successes in today's real estate world.
So come join us every Tuesday while we talk contracts and chaos.
So today, if y'all are listening to this, we have the best guest ever on the podcast. And you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, you're like,
can I be a guest?
Yeah, you're a guest on here.
Where? Where's the guest?
Right, that's what I was going to say. If you're watching on YouTube, you're like, where's the guest? There's only the two of them. Our guest, I am interviewing Brenna today. Brenna is our in-house specialist on doing real estate while having young children. And so we thought it would be a great podcast episode for those of you, especially those of you encountering your first summer break with children and working real estate, on how Brenna handles or balances that. So I am going to interview Brenna today. Are you ready? I almost didn't send you the questions last night, and I was like, no, I can't send her into this blindly. That would not be good. Okay, so you have...
Well, I fly by the seat of my pants, quite frankly. So right. It's okay, but I'm glad you sent them.
So there is one thing I'm going to add here, only because I just thought about it. You just mentioned you're 4 weeks out. Is there anything you're doing now to be prepared for when the kids are out of school? Is there anything like that you're booking things or, scheduling services? Is there anything you're working on now so that when that 4 week gets here, you're like, okay, we're good, we're ready, we're not scrambling?
I am trying to already start implementing my summer schedule without them. And then there's a couple of camps that they're going to be doing this year. Like one a month, you know what I mean? But something that they're going to be out of the house for 3 or 4 days a week for 5 hours. That gives me some freedom. But they're not going to be gone all day, every day, like in school for 5 days a week. And it'll only be like 1 week a month. So It'll be good for them, because last year Violet is the only one, she did a softball camp. And honestly, by the end of the summer, I just personally feel like we all hate each other. So I think having little bits of broken up time for them to go do something fun and me to actually get something accomplished will be good for everybody involved.
Good. Okay. So that makes sense, testing that schedule. So how do you manage your workload differently during the summer? Obviously, you said they're going to go to camp once a month for a couple days here and there. But on days they aren't. On days they're home and it's the three of you. How do you manage that? Do you send one of them to work with Travis for the day? That's what I would do. I would be like, go ride in the truck.
Well, so sometimes, and there are days, depending on where he's working, if he's working at one of our flip houses, they can go paint walls. That's not a big deal if I have to go out and show a house or do a listing appointment. And we are, I have to say, so privileged. My in-laws, if you look out my back porch, I can see across the field to my mother-in-law's front porch.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought they were still in Maine.
No, my parents are still in Maine, but Travis's parents, our property lines, we share a field. So, in a pinch, they're wonderful. I have a great relationship with my in-laws, which I know is hit or miss for a lot of people, but they're great too. If something more last minute comes up, and during the summer, I really do try to stay away from last minute stuff. They can go down and hang out with them. Violet does a lot of work on the food truck with her Nana in the summertime. She has this big savings goal that she wants to hit before she turns 11, which is makes me very proud.
That's awesome.
So she wants to have $10,000 in her savings account before she's 11.
Holy shit. So do I, Violet. So do I. That's impressive.
The food truck too. Oh, listen, Travis is all about the hustle. He loves it. He loves her little hustle. So, I do have some flexibility as far as that goes to be able to send them if I need to, but Travis, if he's doing dirt work and things, it's a lot of big machinery. It's a lot of stuff that they can't always be a part of. So I plan to have them, right? And we've all talked about time blocking, but in the summertime, it's usually more day blocking, I think, for me. More, and that's what I'm more implementing into these next couple of weeks to get me back into that. More content focused days. Like instead of doing a little bit of everything each day, time blocking, Mondays is admin day, Tuesday is content day, Wednesday I'm going on any appointments that I need to go on, Thursday, you know what I mean, like
Right.
that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Friday is a flex day. And I think that that's very important for my kids and very important for me, because weekends, we still have sports going on. We have things that we have to do on the weekends too. So I'm sure everybody's kids are like this. Mom, we want to go to the park. Mom, we want to go to the trampoline place. We want to go get lunch. Like all of those things. And being able to say, Mondays, I need my time. Like I need to work, and after 1:30, I can be available, right? My kids work on structure much like I do. So me being able to say, listen, Friday, I can take my laptop, we can go pick up lunch and eat at the park because I'm just going to be fixing up some things from the week. That's great. That gives them something to look forward to. That gives me something to look forward to. And it gives them like, okay, mom's got to work because, you know,
Right.
they're so used to me working at home. They're like, mom can do anything. Like she's here all the time kind of thing. It just sets some boundaries for them and me and gives us hopefully a little more flexibility this summer.
I like that. I like that you're like, okay, I'm going to chunk these days, because you're right. If you get all of your social media filmed or whatnot in one day, then it takes 2 seconds to post it the other day. So you're not like, hold on, I got to film, edit this reel, post it, follow up. Like those other things you can do, like you said, on the park bench. How do you, like with that day blocking, how do you maintain communication with your clients? Do you tell them, hey, these are the hours I'm available? If it changes during the days, like, because sometimes if you are at the zoo, you don't want to necessarily answer a call with elephants in the background. How do you do you just say like today, or for like when we have podcasts, all of our clients know Tuesdays are a no-go until probably 11:30 depending, because we record podcasts. How do you handle that for the summer? Is that kind of the same thing of like, obviously you can't wait days to communicate with clients.
Right. So, any new clients coming in the next couple of weeks, I've got a couple of listings that I'm working on, that kind of thing. If somebody knows up front, it's not an issue. That's what I've found out ever since I was like, listen, I don't answer my phone past 7 o'clock, and Sundays, unless like it's an emergency or yeah, it's an emergency. I'm not, that's my family day, you know? And once I set that standard, nobody minds. So for me at a listing appointment or having a buyer consultation saying, hey, my kids will be out of school in the next 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. If we have showings set up, I mean, because my kids are rock and roll, like they're good in the car. We bring snacks, they watch movies. Like they have done this for 5 years. So
Right.
Madeline was 3 years old when I started doing real estate. She's been going to showings and things half of her life, more than half of her life. They're very good at it. So, but it is something that I'm like, listen, there are times that I will have the kids with me. They won't be coming into our showing. That's one thing. Like, I'm not bringing my kids in to chase them around while you're looking at this potential new house. You know what I mean?
Right.
They might be in the car. I'm not a bad parent. The AC's on, they're fed, they're fine,
Hey,
right?
I do that with Mabel.
So,
I did that the other day with her, and someone looked at me funny, and I was like, the air conditioning's on. She's fine. Like the car's running.
she's exactly. So, again, just saying like I may have the kids or I may need more time, and I do try to set this up so if you call me at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, like, oh, I saw this house, can you see it at 4? No, I need until tomorrow, right? Unless there is something like you have to have an offer in before 6 o'clock tonight, we'll set it up for tomorrow.
Right.
Because then you're not running, I'm not running. I have time to go through the disclosures, print everything off, have everything ready for you. Because if we just, oh yeah, I'll meet you there in 10 minutes. I also have no idea about this property. I can't answer your questions that you ask me because I have no idea. So here, let me look real quick because I didn't look prior to coming here. So a 24-hour rule is really important for me specifically in the summertime, just because I don't have the immediate flexibility that I do while the kids are at school. And for listings and things, they're still going to get their weekly emails. And if I know that Thursday afternoon we're leaving because we're going to go camp for Friday and Saturday, I'll put it in there. Like, this is the day that you might not get me, that kind of thing. I went on a field trip last week for Violet's school, an overnight field
Yes,
trip.
you
That was
did.
so fun, so exhausting. But listen, I let all of my clients know that in Monday, because all of the ones that I'm working with right now are sellers. My buyers aren't really moving. So I let them know in that Monday email, listen, I am available all day today and tomorrow. Wednesday, I'm driving to the middle of nowhere. Service will be touch and go. So if it takes me longer to respond, that's why. I will definitely be back to you Thursday evening. It's just because I didn't want somebody to try to call me on Wednesday morning and me not have any service while I was there and then wait till Thursday night and be like, oh yeah, sorry, I was out of town.
Right. Yeah.
It's not that hard to just say, here's what's happening in my life, but I'll still be here to support you. Because that's all that matters.
Right. And I do the same thing. Like when I run down to Georgia to see my niece and nephews, it's the same thing. I'm like, hey, I'm headed to Georgia. So while I'm driving, won't be communicating. When I'm there, it won't be as instant as it normally is, but I'm still fully capable of taking care of you. So it's a similar strategy.
Yep.
Do you have, like, I know you said the girls go to camp usually like once a month for a couple days. Do you have a strategy more specifically during the week? Like, I know we said you do certain tasks on certain days, but like, is it you try to have that all knocked out by noon and the girls know like the afternoons are theirs? Like, to balance that work and family commitment to make sure that everyone's, getting the time they need with you. Is there like a specific, like, we only do
So
showings
I'm
in the
not
afternoons or
really
evenings?
kind of, and that's something that I do on a regular basis though too, because I'm not a morning person, right? So there's people who will get up at 5 a.m. and have like all of their like big work things done by 10, and it's never been me. It probably will never be me. So my like best work hours, honestly, are from 10 to 2.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because like that's when the kids have always been at school. Like that's when I focus the most because that's when they're usually out of the house. 10 to 2 is my best work time. So during the summer, that actually works out well. While they're in school, I usually say like I start work at 9, right? I get them to school. I could go tanning, get a coffee, come home. I like to like wipe down the kitchen counters, like have everything kind of ready before I start working. So the same thing will happen in the summer, just at a later time. It'll be like a 9:30, 10 o'clock. That way they can get up out of bed, we can get breakfast, that sort of thing. And then they'll know, just like when they get out of school now, most of my responsibilities for work are done. But during the summer, there are still like showings that get scheduled. Even now, I'll pick them up from school and go to a showing. So that's why I think having that flex day, that day that I'm not going to schedule showings on, will be so good, because the afternoons are stuff. We'll go outside, we'll play with the ponies, we'll go for a walk, go to the park, those kinds of things. But them knowing that this day is their day, I think will be really important, because I do my office work or focus work in that like 4-hour block, because I can get a lot done in 4 hours but still have that flexibility in the afternoon. So balance is such a, I don't think there is such a thing. It's like a moment in time. I don't know if it's I don't think it's something that I can maintain very well long term, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like some days I feel like this was a really good, like everybody was happy, everything flowed really nicely. And then other days I'm just like, that was a train wreck.
Yeah, well, and I feel like that's with or without a family. That's just real estate in general. Like, we were just talking before we started recording about like what's going on with some of my deals right now, and it was smooth sailing. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, the world's on fire. I can't control any of this, but I have to guide my client through it. Okay. So it's just that
Right.
that's just the ebb and flow of real estate in general. And I think it's kind of the same with kids too. I obviously don't have any, but even just like watching my friends and their kids or my sister and her kids. And I also think it's one of those where like the first kid's the one that makes you want the second kid and the second one's the one that makes you go, why did we have kids? Um so it's just
That's
kind of
exactly what happened.
right. That's my sister, and she will never say it, and it's not I love my niece dearly. Peanut is the best. But I make the joke that when that girl gets out of bed every morning, the earth quakes, and because like you don't know what's about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And not that she's mean or anything, she's just wild and carefree and has no fear. And so I feel like you have those days with your kids too. Even I have it with, sounds silly, but I have it with Mabel. Like there are days where she just curls up in her
Mm-hmm.
bed behind my desk and we're like, okay, we're good. And then there are days, and you guys have seen it on here if it doesn't get edited out, where I'm literally on the side here battling a dog with my spare hand because I'm like, just stay down. So I think it's whether or not you have kids, like that's one of those things that's just part of the business and part of life in general. So my final question for you:
Mm-hmm.
do you have any tips or
Okay.
advice for clients and agents to ensure that everything goes smoothly during the summer months? You know, especially even on the other side of these transactions, our clients have families too. So they're booking vacations.
Mm-hmm.
They have kids in school camps. Do you have any advice to your buyers and sellers to help them navigate through summer vacation with kids and trying to buy and sell real estate?
So for any listings that I have, I usually, because schedules change, the minute that school's not in sessions, schedules change. So where we could have had showings available anytime from 10 to 4 because nobody was going to be at home, maybe there's a teenager now that's going to be at the house all summer, right? So that's a conversation that I feel like is important because sometimes people don't think about it. Like, right, we've just scheduled showings like no big deal, and now there's a shift in their availability, which means something needs to change. But ultimately, communication is always, and this isn't just for the summertime, communication is the key to a smooth transaction. Buyer, seller, summer, school time, winter, whatever the case may be. And being upfront with the agent too. Like if somebody will call me like, hey, if you hear my kids, right? Like and oh yeah, no, mine too. We're going on week 7 of out of school. Yeah. Lord bless you, you know? So it can be a conversation starter. It can be an icebreaker. It's just don't try. I feel like the people who like try to hide it, like, oh gosh, my kids are at home, you know,
Right.
is just it's a part of life, and it's very authentic to who I am in my life. So they're a part of my life. They're a part of, I mean, why I work. Between the kids and the dogs, somebody has to pay for the food. So
Right. And the ponies. Don't
it's
forget the ponies.
and the ponies. So it's one of those things that I try to include them as much as I can with, and again, I don't bring them in on other people's moments to
Right.
to see a house, but because I don't want them to sit on the couch and watch TV all summer. So
Right.
I try to keep them involved. I keep my clients informed. Same thing with the other agents. Most attorneys, like their schedules don't change, like banks don't change. You do have some more holidays to consider as far as like I had one an offer that was written to close on Memorial Day.
Oh,
And I was like,
yeah.
oh,
That's not gonna
I
happen.
know what they did was they like counted out the 3 weeks,
Right.
right? 3 weeks due diligence, fourth week is closing. That's not going to happen,
Right.
So just being aware of that kind of thing, and just, I mean, doing your best. Honestly, I'm a color coder, I'm a time blocker, a scheduler, and I have to tell you, this when we started the school year this year, I hung up a big board by our dining room table, and I have different colors for different things. So yellow days, when I like circle the day in yellow, there's no school on that day. That's an easy visual for me. Blue right now is Madeline's sport practices and games. And purple is Violet's, right? And it has the times, and there's a big list down the side that coincides with that purple line. It's this field, this location at this time. And I have to tell you, the kids, like, they'll get up and they're like, look, and they're like, what's today? Oh, okay, we don't have anything after school today. So I think that setting that up for the summertime too, they're just mini adults.
Right.
The the more you set them up for success, the better. If they have to get up and be like, what are you doing today? And I'm like, well, like, I know what I'm doing today. If they know I'm not available until after 12:30,
Right.
it just
Well, and they're
just makes it easier for them.
are they
So
they're at ages where they can, like, if you have stuff first thing in the morning at the house, like you have to be on this or on a call with someone else. Are they self-starting and old enough to like make themselves breakfast, get all like obviously I don't know when kids start doing that, but
well, Violet started cooking her own macaroni and cheese and ramen noodles when she was 4.
oh my.
And
That's
Madeline has also done, like, they are perfectly self-sufficient. Violet will get up. Violet's a breakfast girl. She will get up and make omelets or egg sandwiches. And, like,
nice.
they are,
Okay.
like, when it comes to food, they are fine. Like, they will not go hungry. And if they're not finding what they want in my pantry, I'll get a text while I'm working. My phone will ding. It'll be Violet on her iPad. It says, running to Nana's for snacks. BRB.
I love that though. And that's going to be like one of those like cherished childhood memories that grandma and grandpa lived in the backyard so they could just run over all the time. I love that.
Their cousin ends up like over here, like it's like a whole community thing. This summer I think will be a little different because we found out this year that there's actually 2 little girls from Madeline's grade that live in our neighborhood.
Oh, nice.
That's what prospecting and field trips and things find you out. So she'll like ride her bike over, which is fun. So I think it'll be a different this year because I am more confident in no, this is what has to happen. Because in the first few years I'm like, oh, this is such a bad like experience for them, and it's like their summer is ruined, you know what I mean? It's not. It's not. They're literally fine. And with the camps, with staying busy, with having, if this flex day works out the way that I think it will, I think it's going to eliminate 87% of the problems that we have during the summer.
Right. So. Well, do you have like one last parting piece of advice that you would say, this, if I could say anything about summers with kids, this is what I would tell you? It's okay if you don't. I'm surprising you with this one.
Don't take it too seriously. Don't take it too seriously. Listen, if you lose business because you have your kids at home, it wasn't going to be a great transaction anyways. Like if somebody chooses to work with somebody else because you are a parent and your kids are out of school, and that happened to me last year and I took it very hard. But listen, you find your people. So alienating your family to try to make business work to make money is just like, that's not the point. Yep. And success is different to everybody. And I think I've said this a million times on here. My success is being able to go hang out at the park for the afternoon and pick up 2 friends on the way and like be able to give that to my kids because I work the way that I do. So don't sweat it. Honestly,
I love that.
The more you stress about it, the more stressful it will be. Ask me how I know.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you, Brenna, for being my guest today and letting me interview you. That is all I had to ask about summers. I hope this helps our listeners find better balance with their summers with kids being home. And I think that last piece of advice was perfect. Your success doesn't have to look like someone else's. It needs to be what is important to you and your family. So take that, run with it, and have the summer of your children's dreams. See you next week.
We just finished another episode of Contracts and Chaos, but believe me, the chaos does not stop here. So check out the show notes for our email address and where to follow us on socials, and we will see you next week.